I'm doing great. I'm doing great. Randall, Syreeta, hey, congratulations on being part of this Box's Lego Masters.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Really appreciate it.
This season, they surely took the competition to new heights for you.
Yeah, too high. Too high.
You know what? I've been trying to work on my puns all day.
You're doing good. You're doing good.
Yeah.
After watching your guys' episode, you guys are really good at these puns.
Thank you. We've been working hard.
That was awesome, Rita. Woo.
Hey, so tell us about your experience this year on being with the Lego Masters. How was that overall experience for you two? Was it life-changing?
Yeah, I would say never in my life did I think, dream, consider Lego Masters would be a part of my journey by any means. I'm grateful to have gone on that journey with Randall and then the contestants that we met. Yeah, overall, it was really great. I hadn't considered being in a Lego competition like prior. So what I've learned around time management certainly changed the game. I think it was beautiful for me, certainly being in a room with knowing that there's 3 million brick possibilities.
5 million.
Like 5 million, knowing that there's 5 million options is nuts, and something that I was really grateful for. But just like overall, the experience was fantastic. I'm happy I got to get off some outfits that made it to the show. That was really incredible. And just like learn a significant amount of things that I didn't know prior to even joining the show. Technic pieces are now my favorite. I'm a big fan of minifigs. And so yeah, just overall my experience was certainly extraordinary.
What about for you, Randall?
I very much enjoyed, I'll say at the top line is being on Lego Masters affirmed for me that following my passion my entire life was the right thing to do. Being, you know, I didn't have to get ready. I stayed ready, essentially, taking advantage of all the things that were afforded to me before this point, going to architecture school, continuing to play with Lego, meeting Syreeta and doing Most Incredible, and then putting things out to be seen, to be considered to be on the show, to eventually be on the show. You know, these things are complementary and add and, you know, build upon each other. And so being there on set was one of those moments where I got to see and calibrate where my skills were, you know, in under these specific circumstances, just to see what I could do given, you know, 5 million bricks and time and different circumstances and prompts and challenges, and challenging myself. I wanted to be there to do things that I hadn't had the opportunity to do before, like building on a hanging brick, or build on a make and shake plate, or make a hat. Yeah. So lessons that I learned, not just through the challenges, but also watching other people build and being able to go and see the techniques and ways that they build to, you know, steal and copy, with credit, of course, to incorporate in my own stuff was something that it was so intense, but I learned so much in that moment that it left an imprint on me for sure.
So did this show made you kind of like surprise yourself about your abilities?
I would say certainly.
Yeah.
For me, I wouldn't have intentionally put myself in that position, like in the position that I was on the show. So I would certainly say, and it just had me step on my game in a new way that, like I said, I hadn't thought about prior.
Yeah, I would say so. I think being at this point, you most likely have different pockets of knowledge in Lego that you employ for different ways of building, for different things that you do build. Like my lettering that I may do is not the same thing as like a hot air balloon that I may do. So having to pull from those and take your best guess, essentially, and see it work out, is like, oh, okay, like I do know what I'm doing. Like these things that I've learned and know known over my lifetime, like, yes, these things work. I know that these things are true under these stressful circumstances. So yes, I did surprise myself a few times.
Hey, tell us about this background for the creative studio for Lego Art. I mean, what is that all about? And did you feel that was an advantage over other competitors when you first came in?
My space or the brick pit on the show?
Your space.
My space. So those of us that like to make stuff, we usually have a sorting system of some sort. Like, everybody sorts different ways. When I usually visit people's places, I ask how they sort. So conceptually, knowing where to go, or knowing to, okay, like, these pieces are probably close to this piece. This piece is probably over there sorted with this group of pieces. I would say gave us a particular vernacular to expect, to say, okay, like, plates over here, bricks over there, Technic over there, tires over here. Did it give us a certain advantage? I think I'm probably not the only one in this pool of contestants that sorts and has a setup like me. So I would say no. But I did have, if it wasn't, at least one of us has to be able to speak that language. And so I think that was something that I was able to parlay to Syreeta, like, all right, you gotta look over here for these. You gotta look over there for those. And this, all of these things have, these connections, and this is why.
For sure. And just to connect, like, the creative studio, most incredible in relation to how we were able to move on the show. I think one that made us unique in the space, right? In the space with a bunch of other really brilliant, really talented builders. But I think outside of our builds, you saw a lot of it in the story, right? We were really intentional around how we can connect our passion for the specific genre of music in a lot of our builds, and what are the things that are also representative of in hip hop culture reflected as well, like moving with your back against the wall. We got 8 minutes left. What are we gonna do? You know what I'm saying? With that 8 minutes, we have the supplies that we have everything we need supply wise. Okay, what are we gonna do with those things? So just really being intentional around how we use our time, how we communicate. I think it helped that we were friends prior, because we spoke in a lot of shorthand as well. Like, okay, this needs to sturdy game. That means it needs to be sturdy. Okay, great. And just using some of those inklings that we had already curated in kind of like the culture of our business in Lego Masters.
Hey, tell us the truth here, because to us viewers, 10 hours seem like a long time to build a Lego set. But, the editing makes it look like you are constantly under pressure. Are you constantly under pressure and constant stress the whole time? Or, I mean, is it really that feeling?
Well, I mean, I could move this camera around and show you that there's no clock in here. So, that's probably the most salient difference between building outside of the show and being on the show. Like, you're always cognizant of big red numbers on this display up top that you're always looking at, and that your partner is probably always counting down every 15 minutes. So that might have added to the stress.
Yeah.
But yes, it was fun, right? Like, I would do it again a million times over. But understanding that, yes, there's time management involved, being able to communicate and make sure nothing gets lost in translation before time is spent building something that's not going to end up being used.
That is great. Of course, everyone's going to ask you, any regrets during this entire show? Because, obviously making this far was quite an accomplishment by itself.
For sure. For me, I definitely don't have any regrets by any means. We were on Lego Masters during international pandemic. Like, that is crazy. To do anything outside of like take naps and take care of your mental well-being is amazing. So yeah, for me, there was certainly no regrets by any means.
No, no regrets either. If anything, I think it fast forwarded the maturation of our friendship. Being in a position to learn how we relate to each other and taking the opportunities that we probably wouldn't have had prior to this and be like, oh, that's how we should talk to each other, or oh, this is how we should work, or oh, this is what's important to you versus what's important to me. How can we meet in the middle? And carrying that forward. So like that was probably one of the best, if not the best thing to come out of Lego Masters.
Yeah, for sure.
Terrific. Well, one last thing before I let you go, because it looks like Randall here has learned a lot, and you're taking it to the real world and continuing the Legos. But what about you, Syreeta? Are you continuing with Legos yourself?
Oh, absolutely. That's a no-brainer. You just can't see where my setup
in another
is.
Room.
It's in another room, and the light is not as bright in there. But yeah, no question. I would be remiss to have this opportunity and not continue our work, my own personal journey, my own personal work in Lego, for sure. Yeah, I'm here forever. Sorry, guys. Sorry, all.
Randy, you want to have the last word and tell us how these lessons are taking you to real life?
I'm learning to build in a different way than I probably built prior to the show. Just knowing what, or seeing what seems to be successful on the show and say, oh, okay, because they're building in this particular way. I need to figure out how to incorporate that style into some of my work. But also, you know, it can work the other way around. How can the way that I build or somebody else builds influence what's successful on that show as well? So that type of thing. Also, just story. Sometimes I can get caught up in just making a thing, but like, what's the context and the story around it to draw people in? And I think communication is one of the things in learning how to build with somebody. It's something that I'm keeping close and moving forward with in working with Syreeta and how we improve over time and be the most incredible.
Indeed, that was nice. You talking about like that was a great pun, Randall. I'm good.
I'm good. Every now and then I'm nice.
There we go. There we go. Well, Randall, Syreeta, hey, thank you for speaking to us. You're Lego Masters in my book because of your.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.